Another year has passed for video games. We got so many banger video games. This year has been crazy good with video games full of quality, heart, and passion, whether they be AAA titles or indies. And the hardest thing about that is being able to make a top 10 list of my favorite video games of this year. Because there were a lot of really good video games that I had a fun time with throughout the year. But nonetheless, it will be done. What's up, y'all? Mega Me here, and today I'm gonna count down my top 10 video games of 2025. The only rule I have is that I need to have at least played them myself to completion to make it into the list. Aside from that, no ports either, so for those hoping for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle on the list due to it coming to PS5, sorry, I haven't gone to it yet, and even if I did, it wouldn't really be here on this list anyway. Same with any games I've yet to play, such as Hades 2. I haven't played that one, mostly cause I need to get to the first Hades eventually. Anyway, without further ado, let's get on with the list. The problem with making a top 10 list of the games that released in a year like 2025 is the amount of games that released. I'm not kidding. There are games that I love that aren't even in the top 10 because there are so many banger games that released this year. So here are some honorable mentions for games I played, but for some reason wasn't able to include on the list. So first off, Silent Hill F is a brand new title in the series, and it's surprisingly really good. Shimizu Hinako journeys through her hometown, which is covered in fog and monsters, as well as the other world, with fun combat, awesome monster design, and a story full of scares and reason to play multiple New Game Plus playthroughs. Plus, you don't need any knowledge of previous games in the series. Death Stranding 2 on the Beach heavily improves upon the first game with new additions such as environmental effects and additional vehicles, among others, including a big glow up in the visual department as well as expanded combat. Story is also really good, but the platinum was a bit of a grind for me. Split Fiction is a lot of fun to play with someone as you go through worlds of sci-fi and fantasy, with each level having their own gimmicks and mechanics to learn, as well as side stories that put you in unique experiences such as being turned into pigs. Mario Kart World is the first Mario Kart in 11 years, unless you count Cure, with new and returning characters, courses, and also free roam and knockout Cure, which make this game stand out from others, as well as wall riding and riding on rails, which is really fun, plus an incredible soundtrack that pays tribute to Mario's history really well. Doom: The Dark Ages is the most recent entry in Doom, as well as a prequel to the 2016 title, and killing demons in Hell has never been more fun. This time you're equipped with a shield, as well as other weapons and guns to help you fight in this medieval war of demons and humans. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is a very faithful remake of the original game. While the visuals and controls have had a bit of a glow up, the game itself remains unchanged in terms of stories and voice lines. Xenoblade X is one of those games I didn't think would come to Switch at all, and that they just put it on Switch too. But now that it has and that I played it, the game is great. It really shines in its open world and gorgeous areas, and the skills are really cool too. Also, the music is banging, with the soundtrack being composed by Attack on Titan's Hiroyuki Sawano. The story and cast, however, aren't really at their best. I still enjoyed the story myself, even the new epilogue story they made for this version, which I'm glad they were able to make a conclusion to the story, even if it is divided among fans. I can't wait to see Monolith Soft are cooking for Switch 2. Elden Ring Night Rain is a game I enjoyed, although not on the same level as Elden Ring. The game is less than Souls-like and more a roguelike, and while I don't see it as a bad thing, the whole trio thing being more balanced than solos or duos doesn't help. Still, it's a fun game to hop back onto, whether it be with friends or randos on the internet. With different classes, each suited to certain playstyles, players just go out and find the best weapon, armor, and whatever you're looking for that you can find to prepare for the bosses, and the Night Lord at the end of your run. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is a return to Ninja Gaiden 2 in this Unreal Engine 5 remake/remaster with heavy hack and slash action with a variety of moves and weapons to use, a simple but dope story, and good bosses with banging soundtracks and tough enemies. And lastly, Monster Hunter Wilds. Now, I enjoyed this as my first Monster Hunter game, however it's not a game I've been coming back to, especially since there were more games dropping that I've been hopping over the past couple of months. Maybe I'll hop back on once they inevitably announce the big DLC, but who knows.
Come to me, Ifrit!
It's been a couple years since the last main Pokemon game launched, even if it wasn't a great launch. But even so, I believe they learned from that experience and took their time with the development of Pokemon Legends ZA. Legends Arceus was my favorite of the recent main Pokemon games, so I was very excited to check out not only a new Legends game, but a sequel to Pokemon X and Y as well. Plus, it's not only on Nintendo Switch, but also on Nintendo Switch 2, which was the version I played, and with it the smooth 60 FPS, which definitely feels nice. Unlike Legends Arceus, the focus of this game is the battling, which especially shows with the updated battle system, which this time around is more of an action battle system, which is a very unique gameplay system for the battles. Plus, it's the closest we're getting to battles like in the anime. You can explore Lumio City in the day via the ground, rooftops, and the wild zones for the Pokemon to catch, and take part in the ZA Royale in the night as you battle many trainers in order to rank up through the ZA Royale. And also explore in the night if you want, that's up to you. You'll meet a wonderful cast of new characters and even some old ones, plus Mega Evolution. Yes, they are back, and with new ones too, and you'll often have to battle rogue Mega Evolved Pokemon, which is very cool. This game genuinely feels like a huge love letter to Gen 6, and is truly the Pokemon Z we all wanted 10 years later. Gameplay is really fun and unique, music is banging, story is really good as well, etc. My only real complaint is that there's no wide Pokemon. Like, just let us ride Go-Go throughout Lumio City at least. We could back then, why couldn't we do it now? There's also the paid Mega Dimension DLC, which includes new Megas, a new story, and an alternate Lumio City with Pokemon that are above level 100, which is insane to me. Ghost of Tsushima was the last big PS4 title for the system before the PS5 launched, and for a final exclusive game for the system, Sucker Punch really cooked back then, and now they're back at it again with their new game, Ghost of Yotei, for the PS5. And unlike most game series from PlayStation, this isn't set a couple years after Tsushima. No, this is instead set over 300 years after Tsushima, paving the way for a new story with a new protagonist, Atsu, and a new map to explore. So you don't really need to play Tsushima to play the new one since it's a standalone game. Although Tsushima is still amazing, so go play that one if you can. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes. Ghost of Yotei focuses on Atsu as she returns to Ezo to hunt down the Yotei 6 16 years after they murdered her family. I don't know about you, but revenge stories are pretty cool stories. Like Tsushima, the game is visually stunning with many beautiful environments, and the open world is a lot of fun to explore, especially when there's nothing marked on the map and you just gotta find stuff yourself. The bounties are a great new addition, as well as multiple weapons you can use to attack foes, and the game offers a lot of freedom on which member you can go after first, and what you can do when you want to do it. Gameplay is fun, music is banging, story is really good, though I'll be honest, it doesn't quite hit Tsushima's highs for me, but still really good in its own unique way. Atsu is a really good protagonist, coming to terms with her revenge, and her arc throughout the game is really good. Though it's hard to top a protag like Jin Sakai, who's just an amazing protag of an amazing game. Also, you can go gambling if you're into that sort of thing. 2025 finally saw the release of multiple games we didn't think would ever come out. But one of the most highly anticipated of those titles has to be Hollow Knight Silksong. This sequel to the original game follows Hornet as she journeys to a new land full of new bosses, areas, towns, items, and tools to use, characters to meet, and more. Silksong includes a lot of new additions, some of which improve upon the original game, such as wishes, which are basically quests that you can track now, making quest tracking a lot easier, as well as Hornet's more unique moveset, which makes her a hell of a lot more fun than the knight. But because of that, the game may seem even harder too. The journey was a fun one as well, from meeting charming NPCs, Sherm as my boy, to learning new abilities to help you get through to new areas you couldn't get to before, and even finally defeating a boss you spent an hour on because it's so damn difficult. The game reminded me of how I felt playing Elden Ring last year, and it's an incredible feeling to overcome. Once you've beaten the boss you're stuck on, it's an addictive game with fun bosses, beautiful visuals, phenomenal music, and some stupid long one-backs that they really should have thought about. An incredible indie game, as well as a truly worthy sequel to Hollow Knight that's worth the 60-year wait, and I look forward to any DLC the team at Team Cherry are cooking up. Now, while Hollow Knight fans have been waiting since 2019 for Silksong, Metroid fans have been waiting even longer for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, since 2017, when it was initially announced. Since then, the game restarted development in 2019, and since then, things were going smooth for the franchise, with Dread and the Prime Remaster, or for the inevitable release of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond for Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2. Now, this game was one of my most anticipated Nintendo games over the years. That original announcement was the reason I got into Metroid in the first place. It was the first game I reviewed on Amino back when people were actually using that. It was thanks to that game that I met some cool peeps online. Mostly. But anyway, back to the game. Now that I actually played through it, the game is really good. Visually, it's one of the best looking Nintendo games I've ever played. The environments, the characters, and everything else is eye candy to me. The music is banging like the Prime soundtrack usually is. Gameplay is really fun, especially with the new psychic abilities, which can help solving puzzles and allowing you to direct psychic beams, which is really cool. Now, I know there were some issues that have caused controversy for the game, so I must say that the human characters are not always there when you're exploring, and they actually work well for this title. In fact, they grew on me through that. And the other thing I need to talk about is the desert area with the Viola bike. The bike itself is very fun to use to explore the desert, but the desert itself isn't an open world. Instead, it's structured like a 3D Zelda, like Hyrule Field for example, which I think works better for Metroid Prime than an open world desert area. And while there are things to collect in the area, like crystals, the desert itself does feel barren to me. Also, fast travel would have been nice for the backtracking. The game is definitely a Metroid Prime game, but whether you love it or hate it depends on your thoughts. I'm just glad to have finally played it after all these years. Also, Silex is awesome. Ninjas are pretty cool, don't you think? There are many franchises out there that feature ninjas in some way. And while Koei Tecmo released 3 Ninja Gaiden titles this year, the ninja game on this list isn't anything from that franchise. Instead, we look over to Sonic the Hedgehog's boss himself, Sega, and also Lizard Cube, as they brought back one of the classic Sega franchises, Shinobi, with Shinobi Art of Vengeance. Now, I never played a Shinobi game in my life, but this game is really freaking good. Joe Musashi is on a journey of vengeance as he seeks E&E Corp, as well as Lord Roos after his clan's village is attacked. The animation and art style are clean as hell. Music is banging, visuals are stunning, gameplay is a ton of fun with tight platforming and probably one of my favorite combat systems in any video game this year. It's so satisfying to beat up enemies with this combat. Each level sort of feels a bit like a Metroidvania, but this game itself is not a Metroidvania. Each level is its own, with no connected map whatsoever, which is really cool. The game has its own sets of collectibles to find, which include rifts that give you extra challenges to overcome, amulets that let you enhance Joe Musashi's abilities, plus items that allow you to explore levels further and find as much as you can. Whether you played Shinobi or not, I highly recommend this title to anyone interested in 2D action games, and if they can give other Sega franchises the same amount of love and care as this title, Sega might be cooking up other banger titles, even if they unfortunately don't sell as well. Now give me some Jet Set Radio! Now, I know putting games that aren't really finished on this list feels unfair to other games that are already finished, and to be clear, we don't have the entire story for this one completely out there yet, and at this point I don't really care because what we have of Deltarune, this being chapters 1 to 4, are finished as standalone chapters in this game. And while we got chapters 1 and 2 over the last half decade, chapters 3 and 4 are the new additions and really set the tone for what the rest of the story could be like. And despite Deltarune still being worked on, Toby Fox decided to release Deltarune with the 4 chapters I mentioned as a one-time purchase, so that whenever he releases the remaining chapters, they'll be added to the game as free updates, which is a really good deal when you can think about it. And I really can't touch on Deltarune as a whole without mentioning the first 2 chapters as well, because the game is already amazing from chapter 1, and from there it seems to be getting better and more goofier and funny, and as I said, chapter 4 seems to have set the tone for the remaining chapters because holy moly, all that lore. The characters, the gameplay, the music, the animations are all top notch, and of course, the story is shaping up to be something real special. The game is so funny as well, full of moments, references, and jokes that make me laugh often. I love Deltarune from day one, and I still love what we have out of Deltarune, and it's too early to say for sure, but if Toby Fox nails the remaining chapters, Deltarune could be as good, if not better, than Undertale for me. In fact, it kinda already is right now, but I'll say what I have to say for when the rest of the game is done and finished, because this game has a lot of theories talking and picking apart this game like the cooking meth. No, I have not seen Breaking Bad. This year was a pretty interesting year for fans of kart races. Back in June, we got not only the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2, but we also got a brand new Mario Kart for the first time in 11 years. And I really love this new game in the series, maybe as much as I love 8 Deluxe. It's unique and fun enough to stand out on its own, with the free roam and the interconnected world of courses, costumes, and also the all-new Knockout Tour, which is very creative new mode indeed. Sonic also had a new kart racer, that being Sonic Racing Crossroads, and while I haven't played the full version, I'd only played some of the betas we had. This game seems to be especially doing well, and I enjoyed what I played of it. So this entry isn't Crossroads, but it isn't Mario Kart World either. But before I reveal it, let me say this. Back in February 2025, in my Switch 2 launch year possibilities video, I said this. Y'all went crazy after seeing that tweet, thinking he's gonna show something. I'd love to see him announce that project. I just don't think it's that time yet. Though if he were to announce the project, I don't think it'd be coming until 2026 at the earliest, maybe 2027. Well, I was wrong. It was announced. It did release this year. And guess what? It's another kart racers. And best of all, it's the best one of the year. I had never even played Kirby Air Ride, but I knew how big of a deal Kirby Air Riders is. Sakurai coming back to not only make a new Kirby game, but a new Kirby Air Ride game has gotta be one of the biggest surprises from Nintendo this year. And let me tell you, this game is a lot of fun. It's chaotically fun, and I love it. You got all the modes from the OG games, such as Air Ride, which is basically races, Top Ride, which is Air Ride but from a top-down perspective and with items. Both modes really fun and unique racing experiences, but the racing was never the appeal of this game. Instead, City Trial is, and I finally get why. 5 minutes of exploring the island of Skya with items and stat boosts scattered around, boxes to break to get more items and stat boosts, many machines to hop onto if your one breaks or you just want a different one, different field events that happen every match, from bosses in Skya to random events happening throughout the island, with it ending in a stadium match to see who reigns supreme. I finally get the appeal of City Trial and will definitely play this mode more often, whether it be with online or offline. This game is incredible, and I haven't even mentioned the banging soundtrack, the online from which what I played is fun, the multiple riders you can play as from Kirby's history, the many and different unique machines, and the road trip mode, which is basically classic mode from Smash but as a story mode as well, and it's a big step up from World of Light for me. Nothing against that mode, by the way. I'm just saying, I'd play Road Trip more times than I would World of Light. Sakurai cooked with this game, and whatever he works on next, I'm here for. Just add Bandana Waddle Dee if you want to hop straight to Smash Bros. Please. Now, back when Telltale were making games, I used to watch Jacksepticeye play Telltale games before they initially shut down. Considering I was in high school and wasn't able to buy games myself at the time, it was a nice thing to watch every now and then when a Jacksepticeye plays a new Telltale game. Very entertaining and funny. So, why am I talking about Jacksepticeye in Telltale games? That's because the game under this Dispatch is made by Ad Hoc, a team of old devs from Telltale, Ubisoft, and Night School Studio. Dispatch wasn't originally a game I was interested in initially at first, but as we got closer to release, I figured, you know what, sure, I'll give it a shot. And I'm so glad I did, because Dispatch itself ended up being one of my biggest surprise games of the year. The story follows Robert Robertson, yes, that's his name, but he's also known as Mecha Man, as he gets a job as a dispatcher for the Superhero Dispatch Network, or SDN for short, after his suit gets destroyed. I love the art style and animation. It feels like I'm watching an animated show. The gameplay is really good, aside from the usual Telltale stuff, like choosing what to say and do, which is still really cool. The dispatch segments are also a lot of fun to do, and what makes this game stand out from other games, like Telltale games. You dispatch a group of supers called the Phoenix Program, which are basically these villains and anti-heroes helping out in hopes of becoming heroes, and you gotta choose which heroes go to what situation, cause you can stack stats for a higher chance, but you could also mess up either way. The story and characters are amazing. You got a lot of beloved characters as well. Robert is incredible, and Invisigal grew on me throughout the game. And there are plenty of lovable characters too, and I have to talk about the voice acting. It's phenomenal, man. No, wait. Phenomenal. So many voice actors did incredible work on this game, from Aaron Paul, Laura Bailey, Travis Willingham, to even YouTubers such as Moist Critical and Jacksepticeye, hence the Jacksepticeye mentioned earlier, as this game feels full circle to me, with him having a role in this game and me having watched him play Telltale games back then. If you miss Telltale games at all, or other games like Telltale games, then I'd highly recommend Dispatch. It'll scratch that itch long enough for The Wolf Among Us 2 to finally come out. Hopefully. Dispatch has also been announced recently for Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2, so Nintendo players, play Dispatch, please. The Nintendo Switch 2 hasn't been off to the best start with the controversy the system has had throughout the half year the system's been out for. But it's still got a good amount of exclusive titles as well as third-party titles, and right now, this is my favorite exclusive title for the Switch 2. And it stars the leader of the bunch himself. Now, I was expecting them to reveal a new 3D Mario, but I'd say a new 3D Donkey Kong by the Odyssey team is the next best thing. And let me tell you, Donkey Kong Bonanza is a lot of fun. Donkey Kong Bonanza follows DK as he travels with Pauline, to get to the planet's core to make their wishes come true. And the gameplay is a lot of fun, smashing through terrain to find Banandium gems, banana coins, fossils, and other collectibles. Plus, DK's moveset for fighting enemies and exploring is a lot of fun. The Bonanza forms are also really fun, with each one having a unique advantage to help out and a banger vocal theme to boot. And I should mention, the music is really good, especially the vocal themes. DK and Pauline's dynamic is also adorable. I love them, and each area is just vibrant and gorgeous. Exploring each one has always been a treat. The Kongs of Voidco are also great as well, even if there's someone I'm not gonna spoil who's better. And if you are a DK fan, this game is a huge leveler to you DK fans. Plus, the endgame is the most nuts I've ever seen a 3D platformer attempt to do an endgame. And that's considering we had Odyssey and that endgame 8 years ago. My only complaint I have is that besides the final bosses of the game, most of the bosses are too easy. You can just be punching and that's it. They die in like a couple hits. But aside from that, this is not only my favorite Switch 2 game, but also one of my favorite 3D platformers in recent years. And there's a lot of amazing 3D platformers I love. It's so good. I 100%ed this game. I'm glad to see DK return with a new platform of his own. And I think this is just the beginning of a new era of DK. The DLC, however, yeah, not something I'll come back to do more of, unfortunately. Now, when it comes to the best game of the year, my number one pick has been my favorite since I played it. And when it comes to me and RPGs, you know I love them. RPGs have grown to be one of my favorite video game genres out there. There's so many good RPGs that it's hard to keep track of a favorite. However, my favorite game of 2025 happens to not only be an RPG, but a recent favorite in the genre and one of my top RPGs out there. In fact, I loved it so much I made a little review video of it, and yes, I do apologize for the plug. From Sandfor Interactive comes Clair Obscure Expedition 33, a turn-based RPG inspired by other RPGs, with the biggest ones being Persona and Final Fantasy. Everyone and their mother would have heard of Expedition 33 throughout the year. And I wouldn't blame them, the game is truly incredible. From the end of the prologue I was hooked, and by the time I finished it, I was shocked by the batch insanity that is the story of Expedition 33. A story of love, death, and grief, as the expedition head on a journey to destroy a paintress with the power to erase the lives of those at a certain age, with an engaging battle system, reminiscent of Persona and classic Mario RPGs, with quick-time events and shooting, visuals that are insanely stunning, and areas that remind me of Elden Ring design-wise. The whole journey is incredible, loved every moment of it. The main story as well as the side content are all really good. The soundtrack incredibly banging, and the voice acting is phenomenal. Ben Starr and Jennifer English are just some examples of the phenomenal voice acting this game has to offer. By taking what made RPGs great and innovating with the genre, with the real-time system they created, a timeless combat system that's easily one of the best this year. Pair that with the story and you got one of the highest quality RPGs in this modern era. Plus, this game won Game of the Year at the Game Awards 2025 with a free thank you update for fans of the game containing a new dungeon, photo mode, and other goodies. And considering this is their first title, this game is an incredible feat for Sandfor. And I can't wait to see what they cook up next, as Clair Obscure Expedition 33 is my favorite game of 2025.